Okay, it took me months to make this video, but I just proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the real map of the Earth. And I proved how seasons actually work according to the Gleason's map. Now you need to pay attention and watch this to the end to fully understand, but I proved it all. So first of all, I lost the original video, but I found this in my archive, and pay attention to the date. June 22nd, we're in the middle of summer. I took these videos from the exact same spot in the field. This is where the sun was setting on June 22nd. You can see the school right here. This is where the sun sets. Now I took this video on September 2nd. The school is this way. The sun is setting this way now, much more south. This is north, this is south. Watch these trees here. Now this video coming up right now is from October 16th. And you can see the sun has moved more south. It used to be right here, and now it's in between those trees that I just pointed out. It keeps moving more and more south as the seasons progress towards the winter. Now this is the last video that I took today. There's the trees that the sun was in between. Look where the sun is right now. It is setting much more south in the middle of the winter. It's further away. That's why it's smaller, because it's much more south. Now let's look at the Gleason's map. So you're gonna notice right here and right here, it says the December and the June solstice. This explains how the seasons work. All right, now this is what the June solstice looks like. This is the sun, this little dot right here. It's rotating more towards the North Pole, which is why the sun sets in the north in the summertime. Here is the December solstice. So as the seasons progress, the sun sets more south. There's the sun right here. It sets more south. It's not actually setting. I'm going to prove that in a second too. All right, so according to the Gleason's map, the June solstice is where the sun rotates right here. That's what it's doing. The winter solstice, it rotates more south. It's doing this. That's why we're experiencing the seasons, because up in Canada here, all up in here, we're getting cold because the sun's moving further away. Then you have the fall equinox, which is in between summer and winter, and that's why it's cooler than the summer and warmer than the winter. Just common sense at this point. I proved it all to you guys. Now this is how the sun and moon rotate around our flat stationary Earth, just like the Gleason's map says. The sun actually never sets. It just moves in and out of our perspective. That's why it's much larger when the sun rises and it's smaller when it's right above us. It's perspective. This is literally how the book of Genesis, the Bible, describes the earth and how God created it. It lines up with exactly what we see and observe. It's observable reality. It's real science. I just did it. This is the real map of the earth. There is no doubts whatsoever. You can't doubt it. I just proved it. And it's the exact map that the United Nations, the Freemasons that lie to you about everything, use in their logo. The truth is always in plain sight.
Okay, so if I fly up in a helicopter, at what point do I start seeing the earth turn in front of me?
I mean, I don't know if you're accounting for air resistance. Probably take a long time. I don't even know if you would, because the air is also moving along with the earth. So
that cancels out the Coriolis effect, right?
Hold on, I gotta go. Y'all have a good one.
What just happened?
So friends, you can see the door of a submarine here, which has to withstand lots of pressure. Next we have the door of an airplane that also needs to withstand pressure. And the last one, you see, it's really funny. Door of ISSC, like, I don't have anything to say, it's just so funny, guys. Do you buy it?
Do you realize the ramifications of if we have been lied to about the shape of what we're on? Do you realize what the ramifications would be? Like, just picture it for a second. Because here's the thing. Evolution and creation are diametrically opposed from one another. Evolution suggests we came from little microbes that evolved over billions and billions of years into human beings. And then at some point we were kind of half human, half bit of an ape, you know. But then creation is that we were created, right? So what's interesting, what I find very interesting, because people are wondering about the age of the earth too, because the evolution theory really proposes the idea, it actually is completely hinged on the idea that there's been billions of years. But what if this entire realm that we are in was created in 7 days, 7 literal days. Because people, when they read Genesis and it says, on each day, God made a different thing. If you had animals, animals need plants to survive. So if God created animals on day, 5 or 4, then the next day he made plants, then boom, bang, bang, they would survive. But the idea that it was millions of years in between would not make sense, because plants need animals to survive. Animals need plants to survive. They need to be created in rapid succession to one another. Furthermore, what's very interesting is that it mentions right here, God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. So are we on a ball that evolved, or were we created and it's more of a flat shape? I'm wondering, because NASA, I do love you guys, but can you please post a real pic and not all this CGI crap? And also, evolutionary, dude, it's really not checking out. I will tell you, you will not find a car that evolved and all those components evolved into place from wind and erosion blowing around materials. But you have a lot more moving parts and a lot more components and a lot more cells than a car. But we know a car was made. So I'm just trying to fathom here, was this random? I don't think it was, man. Your eyeballs alone are so powerful. If they were a camera, they'd be more powerful than pretty much any camera that was made today that had a designer. So here's the thing. When you have scissors, for example, you don't say, I can't see who made these scissors, so they must not exist. Right? You don't look at this broken pocket knife and say, I don't know, I can't see who made it, so it's not real, it's fake, it evolved. You see what I'm saying? So we have to fathom here, there's greater forces at play and we may have been duped. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and follow for more.
All I want to know is, if we don't live under a firmament, then why did all the ancient civilizations believe that we do? Just the things that really make you go, it just doesn't make sense to me. Why did every single one of these religions and people believe that we were in an enclosed dome, that there were waters above us? And the video I'm about to show you will really make you think. This guy zoomed in with his telescope and you can clearly see waves and ripples going over the moon. Check it out. Watch the red arrows on the outside of the moon. I know you can see the waves going over the moon. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that the Bible is telling us the truth on this one. You can think what you want, but all these people, all these ancient religions, they believed we were under a dome too.
Wait, do not move. Okay, thought I was done with the series of Babylon and the Flat Earth. We're just getting started. We're going on episode 11. Stay tuned. We're about to finish and conclude the series. Welcome back to the series of Babylon and the Flat Earth. In this series, we have touched previously on a mighty warrior, a man named Nimrod, and in the Sumerian text known as Gilgamesh. We also covered how there was giants in those days and after, and pre-flood giants could measure in text up to 300 to 400 feet, devoured everything in God's green earth, leaving nothing but cruelty. They consumed everything that God had created. So the Almighty consumed them. He sent a giant flood over the earth. Then when everything stopped, Noah landed at Mount Ararat, and he planted a vineyard, and his son Ham saw his nakedness one day when Noah got drunk from the wine. I will make no assumptions, so I'll read it as it is in the Hebrew. And he told his brothers, and his brothers Japhet and Shem walked in backwards with a garment and covered Noah, it says. They grabbed the garment and literally covered Noah. Doesn't say it covered anyone else, his wife or anyone else. No, exactly. Doesn't that remind you of when God grabbed garments and made garments and covered Eve and Adam in the garden from their nakedness? Now, implying that Ham's uncovering his father's nakedness was metaphorical or euphemistic would then make the other two sons covering with a garment, his father's nakedness, also metaphorical and euphemistic, which leads me to believe that it was literal, but that's just an assumption. So Noah curses Canaan, Ham's descendants, which they would be cursed twice because Canaan ignored the boundaries given and settled by Noah as far as the land, and settled in the land allotted to Shem, which was told not to cross, which is located in the modern Israel and Palestine region. When that happens, Shem complains to Noah, and Noah repeats the curse towards Canaan for their disobedience. Pay close attention. Now Ham, the father of Canaan, was allotted the areas of Africa and parts of the southwest, Egypt, Cush, etc. And Noah begot Ham. Ham begot Canaan. Canaan begot Cush. And Cush begot Nimrod. Stay tuned for part 12. Follow and like. Stay blessed.
Both of these pilots claim Earth spins under their airplanes while they are flying to their destinations. If that were the case, an airplane flying from west to east would never arrive at their destinations.
But there are other drifts as well. Remember how we talked about the fact that the Earth was rotating and that the IRSs could feel that rotational speed? Well, as the aircraft gets airborne, the Earth will still be rotating under it. And this will cause errors as well when it comes to, for example, the speed. So once again, this is something that needs to be compensated for. And if you're traveling in a north-southerly direction, the Earth will rotate below you as well. And the way that you fly, even though it looks like a straight line over the Earth's surface, since the Earth is constantly rotating, it means that the aircraft is also kind of constantly turning.
And the third point we're going to look at is how aircraft adjust for Coriolis. In this video, the Coriolis effect is no problem for aircraft, if you catch my drift. I show the aircraft correcting for a very strong crosswind, 140 knots of crosswind, which is causing 19 degrees of drift. The ground track is 203 degrees. The aircraft heading is 221 degrees. It is compensating easily for a 140 knot crosswind.
Oh, the Earth isn't flat, huh? NASA doesn't seem to think so. NASA publication report document on the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model. This report documents the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Army Research Laboratory document, propagation of electromagnetic fields over a flat Earth. NASA document on trajectory simulation. This simulation assumes a vehicle with 6 degrees of freedom and aerodynamic symmetry in roll, and the missile position in space is computed relative to a flat and non-rotating Earth. Detection algorithm document from NASA. Only the range to the center of the field of view and the depression angle is known, so that a flat Earth approximation provides the best estimate. NASA document on stability and control estimation flight test results for the SR-71 aircraft assume a rigid vehicle and a flat, non-rotating Earth. Engineering experiment station document from Georgia Institute of Technology. A model frequently used is that of a flat and non-rotating Earth. NASA document on the mathematical model of the CH-53 helicopter. The nonlinear equations of motion used in the linearization program are general 6 degree of freedom equations representing the flight dynamics of a rigid aircraft flying in a stationary atmosphere over a flat and non-rotating Earth. NASA documentation on equations of motion. The helicopter equations of motion are given in body axes with respect to a flat and non-rotating Earth. NASA document on the aircraft landing model. The aircraft trajectory model employed in this study was derived based on the following assumptions. What does the first one say? The Earth is flat and non-rotating. The DPS equations of motion use 4 assumptions that simplify the program while maintaining its fidelity for most maneuvers and applications. Point mass modeling, non-turbulent atmosphere, 0 side forces, and a non-rotating Earth. NASA document on the projectile flight dynamic model with a liquid payload. A typical 6DOF rigid projectile model is employed to predict the dynamics of a projectile in flight. These equations assume a flat Earth. NASA documentation on the 2-dimensional flight. In this section, the 3-dimensional equations of motion are reduced for flight in a great circle plane, the XZ plane, over a flat and non-rotating Earth. Under the previously mentioned assumption of no side force and no side slip, the zeroth order equations of motion representing flight in a vacuum over a flat Earth. A property-based system design method with application to a targeting system for small UAVs. These targeting methods were considered assuming a flat Earth. The evaluation revealed a descending utility order of DTED, flat Earth, and range based upon the system's stated requirements. Through the government CIA website, cia.gov, and I came across this document. And let's just take a read at what it says, shall we? It appears that the government is taking photographic observations of the spectral intensity of the firmament. It also says that the spectral brightness of the firmament along the Alma-Kantar or the Alma-Kantara of the Sun was observed in the Pugachev and the Alma-Ata regions by means of a spectrograph with a glass lens system. Alma-Kantar means the solar trajectory of the Sun around the flat Earth. Now, real quick, for everyone out there who's not aware of what the firmament is, let's take a look at what the mainstream Wikipedia narrative definition is for the firmament. In biblical cosmology, the firmament is a vast, solid dome created by God during the Genesis creative narrative to divide the primal sea into the upper and lower portions. Okay, but it says right here that the concept of the firmament was dropped with advances in astronomy in the 16th and the 17th century. So they're telling you that there is no firmament. But yet, what do you know? Here we are back with another document from CIA.gov talking about a near-sun halo that's giving off perpendicular rays of light. Okay, the government knows that the Earth is flat and they're up there doing experiments on the firmament trying to get analytical data on it. Okay, the dissertation contains a certain formula of the brightness of the sky, taking into consideration only the brightness of the first order and derived on the assumption of a flat Earth and giving some conclusion derived on the basis of this formula. A method is also proposed of determining the brightness of the clear daylight sky at any point based on measuring the brightness along the Alma-Kantar of the Sun and of 5 to 6 points of the firmament located at various zenith distances. And once again, for those who didn't catch it before, the word Alma-Kantar or Alma-Kantara means the solar trajectory of the Sun around the flat Earth. Okay, but here we are yet again, CIA.gov, official document, talking about spectral photographic observations of the firmament. Okay, but we just looked at Wikipedia, okay, and the official narrative is that the firmament does not exist. But yet here we are on the CIA government website saying that the color temperature of the firmament amounts to 6,100 to 1,750 degrees Kelvin.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.